I'm in private practice in a small village north of Boston, and I can do anything I want around the world. And I've met people from all over the world who value my opinion and the things that I'm doing. And so, I'll reach for the stars. I mean, there's no question that you can do anything that you want if you apply yourself.
Andrew's telling me that your book is coming out soon. That's very exciting.
Yeah, I think we literally just sent it to the publisher. They're going to start printing literally as we speak. So it should
Wow.
definitely be here at the time of the meeting. It takes time, and we actually did we self-published, but it's sort of a different type of self-publisher, and they have a really great reputation. They provide a tremendous amount of help, but it's a process for sure.
And this is your first book that you've written?
First book, yes.
Wow.
Physician Brand RX, really just sort of providing sort of an okay for doctors to recognize that it's okay to be able to share your messaging
Yeah.
on a digital world so your patients can identify who you are.
Yeah, that's amazing. What prompted you to write this book?
So Matthew Ray Scott, who's my co-author, and
Hmm.
I are dear friends, and we've been sort of both of us have a very large sort of digital presence on social media, primarily through the LinkedIn world is really where we know each other. And we just both of us, have for me it sort of came easy. I just sort of figured it out by trial and error. Hi,
Yeah.
Krishna. How are you?
Hi Scott. Hi, Addie.
Hey, how's it going? We were just talking, Dr. Sigman has a book coming out, so we were just chatting about that.
Oh, wow. Okay, cool. So really nice to meet you. A little bit of my own background. I trained as a physician scientist, did a lot of stuff in viral immunology, and just been having my own practice now. I get to train five of the UCSD fellows every year, and I think the big challenge is that, just owning your own practice and the level of, I think, just the knowledge base that's required to run a successful business, and not just looking at that work-life balance, all of these things. Amit and I have been kind of ruminating over this for a past year or so. And then finally we're like, hey, it'd be amazing to have a very interactive business slash lifestyle life coaching course where yearly we could pick up a lot of these physicians that are struggling. You would never want to admit what you don't know. And so it's been really interesting. I think we've gotten some fantastic feedback, but really the scope and vision of it is to really empower a lot of the younger generation to, I mean, any generation of physicians that are really looking to kind of have a more wisdom about how best to manage not just the business piece, but really the personal piece. But excited to have you be a faculty for us. So thank you so much for taking the time to really be a part of the mission that Amit and I really are hoping to come from this.
I'll just introduce myself, Scott. I'm Amitabh Gulati. How are you? Uh,
Doing well, thank
I, I
you.
I echo the same comments. I give you like a 1 minute background on. I know everyone's so busy. I was an engineer that decided engineering wasn't for me, and I went to medical school hoping I'd never do engineering again. Um, Became an anesthesiologist and a pain doctor, and I happen to be an academic pain doctor at a cancer center here in New York City at Memorial Sloan Kettering. Ironically, I use my engineering skills now to help various companies design products, help them get to clinical use. Um, had some experience in various businesses, and I ran a fellowship at Cornell. So over the years, I've been, working with a lot of our graduates and opening their practice, giving them advice. So I saw failures, successes, started to do my own things that succeeded, and saw some failures there. So I echo Krish's comments. I think both of us were helping people and developing our sort of our own version of the MDLife network at that time of how to become successful, not just financially, but really to be solvent so that you can provide the care you want to provide for your patients. I think one of the things I've noticed is when you're thinking about your finances and your focus changes away from patients, but your finances are secure, you can really start focusing on that patient a little bit better. So kind of really the goal is to give our current physicians, actually any healthcare professional, just the tools they might need at different points of their career and their life to help them succeed in whatever kind of difficulty they may be having or where they need the advice. And that's really the purpose of MD Life Network. And then the summit is a kind of a corollary to that, which is, there are different things that we'll need at different points in our life. And we're hoping that we can provide that network and really work with our attendees and really help them focus on what they might need at that present moment in that situation.
Yeah, well, that sounds very much like what I currently do. I mean, I like to say that orthopedic surgery has become my side hustle. I'm still a very busy clinician, but yet travel probably 3 to 4 times per month, and some sort of a passion project that I'm involved in, whether it's opening up our ortho laser centers or as the chief medical officer and founder. So could talk about entrepreneurship and have deep relationships with many of the medical device companies at the highest levels, the CEO levels as well. I've earned my gray hairs, if you will. And my book's coming out, which will be fascinating for this population of physicians as well. It's called Physician Brand RX, where it specifically talks about digital messaging as to exactly how you're describing how your patients can really have a better feel of who you are and make you a better clinician. So all of those things are what I'm passionate about.
And just to hop onto this, Scott, I think like you've built so many startups, the nature of the beast is getting the word out about the value that the actual summit is providing. So part of this experience too is not just for Amit and I and Addie to connect with you, but also to kind of hope that you could be a spokesman to a lot of physicians that may not be awareness is half the battle. I just find it's amazing. There's so many resources, but the reality is that just people, it's a matter of just knowing that that resource even exists. So interesting. I was at the INS conference at Lisbon, and one of the key topics was how many startups fail, and this concept of even with the best type of mentors and advisors, 75% of them don't make it. And it's fascinating. Like, most of us that go through medical school have this perception of, hey, I'm going to do my 7 to 9 or 7 to 8, do my work, and that should be enough to have a great life and support a family and do the things that I want to. But it seems today that you need to really be able to have a lot of side passion projects and side hustles, as they quote or unquote say it. But curious, I think for a lot of the folks that may be listening to this segment of it, do you think that that landscape has changed? I mean, from your own personal journey, would you have done anything different, anything that excites you? And kind of for the folks that we're trying to attract to this conference, really getting them excited about hearing you and Michael speak about your journey, I think would be really helpful to hear
Yeah,
from you.
I think that the number one message that I would say is first that, life is all about relationships. And so the relationships that you cannot start too early in the process of identifying people and who are experts in other things that you aren't, and then sort of maintaining those relationships as you go. You have to be, the other thing is also is that you have to be comfortable with failure, right? There is no possible way that every project you're going to do will have success. And then the other thing that I would say is that, I just like to say that I'm in private practice in a small village north of Boston, and I can do anything I want around the world, and have met people from all over the world who value my opinion and the things that I'm doing. And so, I'll reach for the stars. I mean, there's no question that you can do anything that you want if you apply yourself.
Is there I think you and I think we're all on a similar path. Is there any tip for a young physician that says, I want to be like Dr. Sigman or I want to be like Dr. Chakravarthy? Is there any tip that would be helpful to someone who's young that kind of wants to pursue some of their passions along with their career and somehow have a good life balance?
Yeah, I mean, that life balance is definitely a conversation that this generation has that mine certainly did not. I think they say that every baby boomer physician that retires requires at least two more to fill their spot. So the commentary I would say is to grow your relationships organically as soon as possible. So if there are people that fascinate you, for example, in the tech world that are applying themselves into the healthcare space, then you should be writing commentary onto their posts, for example, in LinkedIn, and sort of then become, part of their ecosystem. And then you become recognized as someone that has a valued opinion. And next thing you know, if you keep doing that, you have a seat at the table with these people on their next project. I mean, I was just at the BOTS meeting, which was the Boston Orthopedic Technology Symposium put together by Hafiz Kazam and Ted Blaine. And Ayush Parekh, who I look at, who's an orthopedic surgeon out of HSS. He looked like he got bar mitzvahed last week. He's literally, he's probably 3 years into practice, but sits as a surgeon, on the advisory board of probably 4 technology companies already, because he brings, tremendous value as a young, expert in AI and large language models and agentic AI, and he's being pulled in to these companies very early. So you really can. You don't have to wait to have the gray hairs to have a seat at the table.
Do you feel like
No.
that has been a shift with, the digital marketing and AI? Have you seen that as a shift in that direction?
100%. I mean, it used to be, if you take a look at these analog, uh, congresses and symposiums where these companies go in and spend $2 million for a booth that's up for 3 days, right? The booth gets torn down. What's your ROI on that, right? So I think what's happening is in device, pharma, and tech, there's a lot of crossover now, but they're really understanding that the digital space is where you're going to identify people. So Matthew Ray Scott coined the term, a digital opinion leader, not just a key opinion leader. So, for example, I have probably 800,000 followers on LinkedIn, primary and secondary. So, when I say something, a lot of people are hearing it. And so, my opinion becomes very valuable, which is why I'm sitting here today talking to you as well as you're asking me these questions. And so, sharing, those thoughts and ideas matter to people. And it's just a great way. The other thing that I like to say is, large language models and AI don't know who your friends are or who your colleagues are or that you're a trusted person, right? They pick up and collate the data that's available on the World Wide Web. And if you're not cultivating your message, if you're not providing the digital information for AI to figure out who you are, then when Miss Jones, who is 60 years old, is going to ChatGPT to find out about Dr. Sigman, you're not cultivating that message. It's doing it for you. And so therefore, having a digital exposure brand of your message of who you are is really critical.
I just find this so fascinating because, if on average I were to even ask what an LLM stands for most fellows going through a paid fellowship, they'd probably be like, deer in the headlights. Dr. Simon, from your perspective, how do we get how do we really place the value and importance of what you're doing? Because I sometimes think as physicians, we are very uni-focused on just mastering the procedural skills. Like you kind of go through your entire residency, fellowship training, and then you come out, and then all of these skills that you don't get any emphasis on. What's been kind of your kind of go-to message? I mean, for a lot of the younger generation to place importance on the value of all of these things, because I think it gets missed a lot because this, you're like tunnel vision till you find out you're 50, 55, and you're like, oh my God, I got to retire in 10 years. How am I going to get to that point? So your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, the gauntlet of medical education is daunting, right? I mean, for all the things that you've talked about, and the historical pathway to having critical mass in your practice was to go around and shake hands and kiss babies of primary care doctors, and then hopefully get some people talking about you. And then 10 years, you probably get pretty good, but it probably takes up to 15 years before you have a fully established medical practice in which you're saturated in your work. But nowadays, if you're messaging well, people are identifying you. I mean, this thing right here is the communication device that we all use. Our cell phone allows us to digitally identify. And look, you could be a dancing doctor if you want, but most of the successful digital branding physicians are really messaging at a high level. And there's lots of choices. I'm a researcher. I'm a professor. I educate. I travel around the world because people want to hear my papers. I'm doing state of the art, evaluations. I hang out with the smartest people around the world. All of those things provide your street cred, which then allows you, if you choose, within 3 to 4 years, to have an exceptionally busy practice. You do not have to wait for the analog, critical mass to occur. You can absolutely take command of your practice at the earliest stages.
How about the converse, which is now, and I can tell you from perspective of music, I'm a musician on the side. It's easy for musicians to become musicians and have music that's available digitally. In fact, you can there's apps that write the entire song for you. Um, but now there's a lot of people that are writing songs. So that therefore, in the young physician world, there's gonna be a lot of people that are going to do what you just said, social media wise. how do you stay ahead of the curve, or how do you keep yourself relevant? Because now you're having a lot of people kind of do similar things, build their practices quickly. And what I'm hearing from a lot of my fellows who graduated 5, maybe 7, 10 years ago is they were doing great for a few years, and now either competition or their life has changed and they can't keep up with their kind of their world that they created. It's almost like how does a middle career person stay relevant, stay ahead, but at the same time balance all the different things they got to do that have changed on them?
Yeah, it's a great question because it really comes down to the amount of time and energy that you have. I actually have gotten to the point where I do have a social media manager. And so across, TikTok, which is a laborious process, as well as Instagram, she will manage that. She'll provide ideas. She'll help me with shooting videos, and it's not very expensive. Literally a couple $100 a week if you want, maybe a little bit more. And then the things that I own, for example, are my LinkedIn posts because I really feel like it's very important for me and to be passionate about the things that I'm saying. And I think that AI has helped us all with our efficiency of thought as well. And so what I would say is investing the time into your digital messaging is as important as maintaining the state-of-the-art techniques that you need to learn as well. In many respects, you can do both at the same time. I was just down in Largo at ConMed, and I was a professor for 50 orthopedic surgeons from Latin America that came up for us to educate ourselves together. And so what am I doing? I'm learning as I go, and I'm telling the world that I'm learning as I go. So you can accomplish both of those things simultaneously, but you do have to put in the effort. The worst thing you can do is just to say, I'm just going to sit back and I'm not going to actively, what's the word I'm looking, cultivate my message because it's too much time and energy for me to do it. I think it's as important as learning the technology of your expertise in your field.
So, all
Um,
right.
Dr. Sigman, your thoughts on, what we're trying to curate, and you've been very successful in a lot of different education platforms. One of the things that Dr. Gulati Amit was saying was about this kind of MD Life network that we want to create and curate. Is there anything specific that really excites you? I know that you have your close colleague, Dr. Suk, who's going to be also on. I mean, incredible. Both of your paths are really, we all are envious of how far you guys have come respectively in your specialties and all that you've accomplished. Anything that really excites you about the MDLife Summit that would interest a lot of physicians? And you spoke a lot about networking and how important that is. Your thoughts on that and kind of the message you would love to have that go out.
We need to take control, and we, as you said, Krishna, we have been so focused with our blinders on, and we're just trying to do the best that we can. And every day we're asked to push more buttons, see more patients, and reimbursement is reducing, right? And so the passion for caring and healing is something that is started. The foundation is sort of moving away. So, what I would say is that we need to come together as a group and be able to influence the direction in which we go, not just with medical technology, but also all of the other things that happen in our lives. So contracts, for example, can we, have a network so that we can help people understand contractual relationships? Or I'd like to be able to be, a spokesperson for a certain company. How do I go about doing that? By connecting people and developing, a process where we can use the tools that we've learned to expand into other areas other than just medicine, but make us really more efficient with our time so that we have more time to be with our families and have that work-life balance that we're talking about. So coming together to help influence that is exactly why the MD Life program is something I'm excited about.
Perfect spokesman.
I love it.
Yeah,
Amazing.
Are we sure
Matthew
is
has,
a real person or would deal with someone that's digital right now? I don't even
yeah,
know.
Matthew,
Yes, but Dr. Sigmund, all of that was incredible. We're so excited to have you be part of the MD Life Summit.
look forward to it. Take
Thank
care.
you so much, Dr.
Thanks.
Sigmund.
Thanks.
Have a great day.
Thanks,
Bye
guys.
bye.
Bye bye.